personal competitive aspirations, business, entrepreneurship, and more. I hope that each show can provide one small bit of value for you, the listener. Regardless, I'm here to help solve those necessary problems.
And we're here. Another TK pod. Went for 30 minutes 6 days ago. We released a day late because the big qualifier, the Monster Games, First Form Monster Games qualifier that I have been leading up to and preparing for in my own competitive fitness aspirations, opened up last Thursday. It runs until 2 weeks from yesterday. So it's a big old 18, 19-day window. There's a reason for that. It should have been, excuse me with the yawn, I haven't done that one in a while. It should have been closer to like a 12-day window, but there was this like a sister competition that they opened up and they wanted to give time for people who were competing last weekend. So here we are nonetheless. Why that matters is today we're going to talk about two examples of me. Actually, we're going to hit on three things. First, I'm going to give there's going to be a bookkeeping conversation that happens. Then I'm going to give you an example, two examples in the last 3 days of how even the most disciplined people are not perfect, that being me. And then on the final, I'm going to talk about the competition, the window being big, and how we're approaching those workouts. Okay, one. Wow, another yawn. The YouTube subscribers are loving it. One, in the intro, which I do like, and for those who have been around a long time, I've changed the intro about 5 times. Former Division I athlete, fitness coach, podcaster, definitely still that. Maybe mostly that. Fitness coach might be moving away from that more and more, honestly. We're down to, I kind of rebranded the whole fitness thing, and then some, as the podcast and the media stuff, Washed Up Walk-Ons has all grown, the fitness stuff has really taken a back seat. So I'm down to like 2 clients right now, and I still kind of go back and forth with people who are curious. When I started this podcast, this was mostly a fitness, nutrition, diet, health podcast. It was like, yeah, we're going to go over why you need to drink water and why, we're going to have an episode on electrolytes, and here's why you should stretch, and what are the best, 3 exercises for your chest, like stuff like that. And now it's just turned into like a personal diary and talk about my own workouts that I do. And like, it's probably why it's not a very big podcast, but it is what it is. So we might have to change the intro a little bit. I don't know. Life continues to evolve. Second thing, very disciplined. I have been. It's probably one of my biggest calls to excellence. Jesus, we're struggling today. The baby boy is upstairs sleeping. He's not at daycare today. Daycare got flu. Daycare's closed. Daddy daycare in action. So the brain is just absolutely fried. I am very disciplined when it comes to health and diet. I think a lot of people, I'm starting to realize that a lot of people, by the time they get to their 30s, certainly their 40s, and of course I still have a lot of time left on the table here. Who knows? Pretty confident in it. But I am shaping up currently in life to be one of those people who are very, very rare, in a sense that once they entered adulthood, basically from those college years on, I never had a moment or even a 6-month or 3-month span of like, oh, they just let it all go. And, their diet, didn't care about their diet. They didn't exercise. They gained a bunch of weight, all this stuff, right? Almost everyone. And it's fine. There's no indictment on that. That's just life. I'm probably a weirdo for not having that. But right away at 23 years old, as my football career ended, and I was intentionally 245 pounds, way overweight, which was the goal. I was actually hitting the goal of the time when it came to diet and exercise. I immediately went into intermittent fasting and exploring that and losing a bunch of weight. I lost about 40 pounds in 7 months. And then another 5 months after that, a year out from being completely done with football, I had a knee surgery. I was consistent with my exercise. I was what you would call shredded and jacked at like 185, 190 pounds. And that was at 24 years old. And I've basically maintained that for 7 years now with no real change in like significant body fat percentage, significant decrease in consistency over working out, training, all this stuff. It's really just amped up the entire time. And diet, I say that because to establish like how much of a core value and just part of who I am, being disciplined in health and fitness is diet and all that. And even the most disciplined have their moments of weakness. And 2 nights ago was that for me. I usually eat dessert once or twice a week with the wife, where we do like an ice cream night. And Monday is generally that day. And if I have a Ben & Jerry's, I'll try and eat about half of that, stretch that out, a pint of Ben & Jerry's into two dessert nights, 2 ice cream nights. Economically smart, dietarily smart. And the other night, I literally looked at my wife and I just said, fuck it, I'm eating this whole thing. Paid for it yesterday morning in the bathroom. Too much information. And you live and you learn. And did I really get that much out of it? After I had already eaten half a pint, was there any new experience or new novel, stimulus that I was, giving my stomach or my taste buds after already having a half? No, there wasn't. But I gave in to the fat urges and it was what it was. So that was example 1. We're not perfect. Hey, another learning experience. We haven't had an experience like that for a very long time. We'll be better next time, right? 2, this comes in the form of shopping, buying things, being good with money, which I am also extremely disciplined at. And this is, again, I don't know if I can really take credit for having discipline, but somewhere along the line, I picked that up in my DNA, and I don't buy things. I buy things of logic and necessity. There was a time out of college, during college, out of college, where I quite literally would not make a purchase outside of food or like the grocery store ever. Like once a year, with the money we would get from the football bowl games, we'd get like $400. I'd buy like a new piece of fitness equipment. Now, as a parent, it's all the time. You realize like, oh my God, it's a constant spending. You got 2 kids, you're buying new clothes for them. It's diapers, it's formula, it's, something new for the house, something new to clean this. There's a new shelf that we need to put up because we have extra toys. We got to buy. Christmas comes around as presents, something for the job, something for the garage, We want to put something on the wall. There's like every little piece of life you're just buying shit for. So now it's a little different, but I try to keep it logical and functional still. And as I do this podcast, I'm wearing a $150 pair of headphones that I bought, I don't know, probably, 3 years ago. And they're a nice pair of like broadcasting, podcast, radio headphones, $150, Audio Technica, great brand. They are starting to wear and tear a little bit, but they are more than enough. I have another 3 pairs of these for the podcast that are they're like one level down in the series that Audio Technica makes. But like these headphones work just fine. Functionally, they are doing their job, and they probably will continue to do their job for years. But I've always wondered about and been curious of maybe getting some earphones, some wired earbuds that are specifically made for, I think technically they're made for like musicians. Like they're technically called in-ear monitors. And there's a really, really good pair that is like widely used amongst multiple industries, the music industry, the radio industry, the podcasting industry, gaming industry, streaming. They're called the Soundbrenner Waves in-ear monitors. I could share the screen and show you. And I think they're always having a sale. I've seen these before at this $99 price point. I think they just put the $179 with a cross through it to make you think it's on sale for 45% off, and they're really just selling them for $100. But I pulled the trigger on these the other day, and I'm curious to see what the experience is like podcasting. It obviously gives a different look. The main reason why I purchased these is because I'm doing a lot more clips on social media, a lot more cut-ups of our podcast, 3+ per episode, putting out a clip per day of me forward facing to the camera. And sometimes, most of the time, I don't wear a hat because of these. It just becomes a lot, and it kind of clamps down, and it feels weird. The hat with our branding would make sense for me to wear, especially clipping and putting it out on the internet. It also just, I like wearing a hat, looks good. And with the ability to just wear some in-ear monitors, that might add a cleaner look to clipping instead of this big headset on my head, like I'm listening to a Walkman or something. So pulled the trigger on those and ate an entire pint of ice cream, both a financial and diet leak this week. The ice cream served its purpose. Hopefully the in-ear monitor headphones or earbuds serve theirs as well. And maybe I'll do a little, it is for the podcast. It is for work. It's an expense. But did I need them? Nah, probably not. I pulled the trigger. A little bit on the competition that I am currently in, but have not technically officially started yet. What does that mean? Well, I've done 2 of the workouts. I have 0 recorded workouts that are submittable to actually put in a score for this. So some would say that I'm really doing well. I would call that maybe a fail. Why is that the case? What are we doing? What's the strategy here? With a 19-day window, I approached the immediate fear or immediate problem that you could run into with somebody like me who has a lot of time to work out. I will spend a lot of time working out over that 19-day period, regardless if I'm doing the qualifiers or not, is the trap of falling. You fall into the trap of the workouts come out last Thursday, 6 days ago, and you're excited and you've been waiting, you've been training for this thing, and you go and you hit one workout the day it comes out, and then you hit another, maybe 2 on Friday, maybe through the weekend, you get all the workouts done. And I've seen that posted, like the First Form brand account has posted like a bunch of people done with my qualifiers, Sunday or Monday. Spent 4 or 5 days doing them, got them all done. And then you look up and there's still 2 weeks left to submit a score. and you go to the gym and you see a friend do the same workout. You hear about a score over here. You watch somebody on Instagram do it. You continue to see the 1st Form account posting people doing their qualifiers. And you're like, these 2 or 3 of the 5 workouts, I think I could actually do better in. So you do them all again over the course of 2 or 3 days. And maybe you get a better score, or maybe you feel better, or you realize something, or a certain part of the workout you strategize differently. And you're like, oh crap, that actually gives me an idea for one of the other ones that I felt was pretty good, but you end up redoing them all again. By day 10 of the qualifier, you're through the 2nd weekend. And now you've done all the workouts twice. And your regular training, which if this qualifier was the end all be all, that would be great. Like, it wouldn't matter if you were just doing the qualifier workouts. That would make sense. You're optimizing to get the best times in the qualifier. But most of the people who are doing this qualifier do CrossFit. They do competitive CrossFit. The Open is coming up at the end of this month. So there's still a lot of training and stuff to get done for the Open later, which is going to be 3 weeks, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, which I care about. So you're taking away training time from those to give some real game time, intense efforts on these qualifier workouts. And if you're not smart, you look up and there's still a week left. You could roll all the way around to next week at this time, and there's still be 6 days left on the qualifier, and you're sitting there going, I think I could squeeze out a few more seconds. Now that I've done it twice, I know exactly what it feels like. I know exactly where to push, exactly where to take a rest. And you look up by the end of this 19-day period, and you've done all 5 of these workouts 3 times. And that's detrimental for multiple reasons. Again, taking away from your regular scheduled programming and training. Mentally, it becomes stressful. Physically, you start to hit the exact same workouts over and over again. A couple of these are tough workouts that take a lot out of you. Your risk for injury probably goes up. The movement repetitiveness, the volume of some of these workouts. The one that I did yesterday has 150 wall balls in it. In a 15-day period, you could do 500 plus wall balls at like game time intensity. Usually, like, the body's not going to feel good if you do it this way. So the way that I've approached this is I took the first weekend to kind of observe, think about them, strategize in my head, watch a couple YouTube videos of the people who do it early and post it, and just let it sort of marinate. Thursday, the workouts came out in the morning at 8 o'clock. I didn't do any of the workouts Thursday. I did, I toyed around with 20% of the workout, one of the workouts for a warm-up on Friday, I think. Train Saturday. Sunday's an off day. Completely ignore it for the first 4 days of the qualifier, knowing that I'd still enter this week with 2+ weeks to do them. And then Monday, I gave it my first go at the one that I thought made the most sense. And baby boy is going to try and end the podcast here. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm going to turn that down and try and finish this quick. So the first one I did, I had a time in mind. I had, of course, watched a couple pros do this workout, or I knew the time of a couple pros, former pros, do this workout. And I had a time in mind that I thought could happen. And I realized that my capacity for toes to bar was not there. And it completely shut me down mentally 75% into the workout when I knew that the time was gone that I wanted. And I just phoned it in. And that was the 2-part one that had the snatch on the backside. So I actually did end up snatching within the window to try and get a feel for what it would feel like. But that was a situation where you either win or you learn. And all we did was learn on Monday. We did film that workout, but it was worthless. I didn't finish the first part. And just after doing it once, we're going to have to, and it's good, right? Like I gave it like a practice 95% run, and I have to adjust my expectations, which are good for when I go about it in a true full go sense. And then yesterday, and I did some other training that morning, Monday too. I hit that in the afternoon. Yesterday, I went this in the morning with no food, no nutrition really in me, coffee and some eggs. So not a lot of carbs, not really fueled for especially this type of workout. And did the 24-minute cap workout, which is going to run right up to the cap, 150 total wall balls, 120 box jump overs, 90 pull-ups, 60 wall walks. It's a burner. It's a bruiser. And told myself I was going to give like an 85, 90% run at that. I really pretty much ended up giving it a full run, or at least it felt like it. It was hurting. I was trying to maintain a pretty good pace to get an idea of what the time breaks would look like, the time per round in the first half of it, where I'd have to be on the clock to try and finish that workout. And that one was humbling as well in a different way. And I learned a lot about that workout. Didn't even film it. So I've done 2 of them. Hopefully the 2 longest ones. I now have an idea of how those are going to go. I still haven't touched really any parts of the other 3. But as it stands here today on Wednesday, there's still almost 2 full weeks. I think Tuesday night, the 17th, is when you can submit your scores, and it's the 4th. So trying to maintain, a sensible amount of training still while also getting in these qualifiers. And as I thought it might be, it's good to kind of run through them at a this isn't the one I'm going to submit kind of mindset, while still going pretty hard to get an idea of what it's going to feel like. Because when you're doing qualifiers and you're trying to get the best score, it does hurt. And it's still probably going to be beneficial for me to give each of these a real go twice. But being able to play with them with no technical pressure on it at least once is sort of the way I'm approaching it. So still no workouts that we've officially done that we're going to submit. I don't have any times, any scores. I'm probably going to give one again. I'm going to probably do one this afternoon if baby boy sleeps and allows me to, that I can run through at like an 80 or 90% intensity to see kind of where we're at, and get another feel and gain information, right? We'll learn about it. And then this weekend, we're going to take a rest day on tomorrow, like an active rest day. And then Friday, I think we might go full go on our first one. It'll be the short one. It'll be a sprint. It's like a 2.5-minute workout. So we'll see. We'll see where we're at. But that's how I'm feeling right now. This is going to be next week. I'll do a podcast, and there will still be 6 days left in the qualifier. We'll talk about where I'm at, how many workouts I feel good about, how many scores I officially have that I could submit. And then the following Wednesday, I think the leaderboard will be finalized. All the scores are due that previous day. So I hopefully by the next, noon the next day, we're looking at like a scoreboard that we can talk about. And, there's not a ton of people signed up for this thing. 30 qualify for the Pro Elite division. And I think there's only like 56 or 60 guys signed up on that leaderboard right now. So you're looking at half of those dudes are going to make the Pro Elite, the Pro. And then, basically the rest of them are going to show up on the RX. There will be more people who, once they go to submit their scores, also register, and then they pop up on the leaderboard. There'll also be a couple guys who are doing the individual who will end up going team. So I still like my chances to maybe slip into the top there, but I've got to perform really well. And I really have to, I've got to lock in on especially the 2 that I already did. I got to lock in because they're not the best workouts for me. And we're going to have to figure out how to get the best score, get the best time. So somehow I made this another 25-minute show. Before I hit record on this, I thought this could literally be a 4-minute podcast. I think as we go on week by week, we are figuring out that I just have a problem yapping. And talking about stuff that no one really gives a fuck about. Take home for today is no one's perfect with their discipline. Everybody slips up, gives us an opportunity to look ourselves in the mirror and get better. And sometimes practicing and being strategic pays off. Have a great week. See you then. See you next time.